Hi everybody, welcome to the SBR exam tips for December 2022. Just a few things to prepare for the exam. Remember, you have 4 questions to do. The first question, which is on 30 marks based on consolidation. Make sure you practice all the different types of consolidation, the cash flows, the forex, as well as disposing of these subsidiaries. Remember in that question 1, don't overrun on your time. It's 30 marks, not more than 60 minutes on that. Question 2 of your exam is always going to be based around ethics. Make sure you are comfortable with the 5 ethical principles applied into the scenario. Don't just copy paste those ethical principles. When you come to section B, where you have question 3 and 4, you got to focus on 2 key things. Number 1 are the accounting standards. Remember, it's about writing the knowledge of that relevant standard, but applying it into the case study. Read the case study very carefully, read the requirements very carefully, and most of the marks are being able to write from the case study. Don't ignore the second element, the current issues, which is the sustainability, the climate change, about these additional performance measures, management commentary as well. Whilst doing all of that, the 2 most important things, if you ask me, is number 1, time management. Do not overrun on your time. Many people are not able to complete the exam, the examiner says. So 2 minutes per mark. And secondly, it's very essential to keep calm. There will be elements that you will not know in this exam, but it's not about knowing everything. It's okay to not know every bit. Be relaxed. The bits you don't know, keep moving on. Wish you all the best.
Hi everyone, this is Mustafa from Phoenix Financial Training, here with some final tips before your SBL exam. Now the SBL paper is a 4-hour-long exam, which may seem like a long time, but given the volume of content you are expected to write, it is not that long. So the first thing we have to ensure is we only read the case study 1 time. So for this, what we are going to do is we are going to take advantage of the scratch pad. So if you notice any points that you find as useful, please note them down on your scratch pad. Secondly, please ensure that you understand the task perfectly. Right? We need no ambiguity in the task. The third step would be, please ensure that you do multiple case studies in the week before the exam. Make sure that you are thorough with the methodology and the content and the way you are supposed to do case studies. The fourth tip I would give you is, keep in mind the format and the marks required per task, because ACCA uses the concept of 1 mark per valid point, so please ensure that you write enough for every single question. The next point I would say is, ensure that you are linking every single point back to the scenario and that you are explaining them properly. Lastly, I would say the night before the exam, ensure that you get enough sleep and ensure that you are in the mental headspace to go and write the exam. I wish you all the very best of luck, and I'm certain that all of you are going to crack the exam. Best of luck.
Hi everyone, this is Vignesh from Phoenix Financial Training, here to share some final words of advice for your upcoming December 2022 AFM examination. As you are in your final leg of preparation and you're working through the core areas of investment appraisal, valuations, cost of capital, and risk management questions, a few pointers I just leave you with that I believe are critical for passing your examination. To pass the exam, you've got to make your case to the examiner. So what do I mean by case? C, make sure you complete the exam. You've got to make sure, even if you're not able to do every bit perfectly well, it's about making sure you attempt all the questions. And it's a lot harder to get 50 on 75 than to aim to get 50 on 100, which should be a lot easier. Second, be aware of the professional skills that make up 20% of the exam. So you need to be able to bring in good examples to gain commercial acumen, be able to justify every point you're making to get your analysis and evaluation marks. Where you're tested on skepticism, make sure you are finding things in the question that you need to effectively question. And obviously you do that with a justification. Third, make sure you're looking for sufficient points, especially in the discussion elements. And with good time management, this effectively happens. automatically. If you leave yourself enough time for the discussion elements, you are going to make sure you write for adequately based on the marks available, which is one of the comments the examiners constantly raised. Students do have a tendency to spend far too much time on the calculations and less time on the discussion, which is something you've got to avoid. Finally, look for the easy marks. It's not about getting everything 100% correct. It's about getting those easy marks. As an example, you may not complete an NPV, but you may still be able to get a mark for the comment by making up an NPV and commenting on it. So good luck for your exam. Keep practicing. That's the key to success. I wish you all the very best.
Hello, this is Sarah Kalani, AAA tutor at Phoenix Financial Training. And this video, guys, I'm going to give you a little bit of tips before the December 2022 exam. So as we know, in AAA, we have two sections, Section A and Section B. Now, Section A is our big 50-mark case study. Half of the exam is in Section A. That's why it's really, really important, guys, that we do really, really well in this section. Now, the reason is that Section A, we kind of know what's going to happen. We all know that we're going to get audit risk, likely to get business risk, we're going to get procedures, we're going to get ethics. So the requirement, we already know it, but the scenario is going to be different. And what's going to differentiate you from another student who's not going to pass the exam is that you're going to answer your question based on that scenario, not only based on the case studies and the scenarios that you have studied in your revision. So you need to read the question really, really well. I do recommend that you spend between 30 to 45 minutes, guys, just planning that question number one. Planning includes reading the question. It includes typing out your points on your briefing notes, making sure that you have identified the main small things out of that scenario. So you don't have to go back and reread that large, big scenario 2 or 3 times. You only need to read it once. So what you want to do is you want to read the scenario and you want to plan your answer, your full answer, guys, to all the section when you read the scenario for that first time. The most important thing is that when you are reading a scenario, you're writing a point, let's say an audit risk, and then you move on and you read another part of the scenario. Make sure that you connect the dots. Make sure that you use the whole scenario, all of the exhibits, to answer your audit risk, your business risk, or any other requirement. This is not only going to help you to get your technical marks, which are 40 marks in that question number one, but it's going to help you a lot in getting those professional marks. So those professional marks, it's about, effectively using the scenario, using analytical procedures, using the numbers that are given to you in the exam to make your analysis, to make your conclusion, to challenge the information that is given to you and say, you know what, this is not enough. I need more to make my analysis. So there are 10 professional marks in question number one. And honestly, if you plan your question number one really, really well, then I think that you should be able to get not only the technical marks, but as well as the professional marks. Now, moving on to Section B. Section B, we have our smaller case studies, which is but exactly 25 mark each. And we've got our completion and reporting, which again, we kind of know what it's going to come. It's going to be matches to consider. It's going to be some reporting. You may criticize a report. You may discuss the implications of a report, discuss a draft audit report that has been given to you. You never really need to prepare audit reports, but you need to discuss the implications on the reports. Remember, you also have 5 marks in each of those questions, so 10 marks in Section B. 5 marks in question number 2, 5 marks in question number 3 for your professional marks. In a lot of cases, that is mainly skepticism, talking about your analysis as well as business acumen. So in this case, you need to analyze what's happening, the evidence that has been provided, what is the information that you've gotten from the client, what kind of work that has been done so far, to actually give your analysis regarding what's going to be the implications on the audit or what's going to be the implication on the audit report. Finally, guys, we have our question number 3. Our question number 3 is the one that we kind of don't know what's going to come here, but we do have a lot of experience with past exams to kind of know the topics that are going to come. So quality control is always a very hot topic when it comes to the exam. Quality control is generally tested from an application point of view, and you can see it in a lot of different various ways. So it can be in terms of wrong accounting done or wrong auditing done or not enough auditing done, or it can be from the review point of view in the audit. So you need to discuss it in a very holistic view. You've got ethical issues, you can have professional issues, you can have quality control issues and the implications on that. That's one kind of question. Another question can be your other assurance services like your PFI, loved by the examining team. You've got your due diligence, forensic, and so on and so forth. Now, or you may get a combination of these things where they will combine a quality control as well as other assurance services. Sometimes we do find other assurance services combined with question number 2, actually, the completion chapter. And then the third question is fully quality control or something else. So we've got a little bit less knowledge of what's going to come in section 2. So my main recommendation, guys, is please ensure that solve and do really well in terms of the areas and the topics that we know are going to come. Business risk, audit risk, procedures, all of this, guys, we know it's going to come. So let's do really well. Let's write answers in depth, so we can get all of the technical marks as well as the professional marks. So these are my tips, guys, for AAA. Good luck, and I hope all of you guys pass.
Hi everyone, this is Vignesh from Phoenix Financial Training, here with some final words of advice relevant to your upcoming APM examination. As you will all be aware, the APM examination is unique in some ways. All the requirements in the question come in as embedded requirements, and therefore you have to read the scenario very carefully, pick out the requirements, and then start answering the question. This will ensure that you keep the relevance of your answer, which is often one of the areas of improvement the examiner has constantly highlighted. It is equally important to gain the professional marks by justifying everything you state, whether it be new KPIs you're suggesting or comments you're making on the inadequacy of an existing performance measurement system or on advantages and disadvantages of any performance management initiative being launched. You've got to justify your points, use the scenario information, and by doing that, you are going to also get hold of the professional marks such as those for analysis and evaluation, commercial acumen. Where you are asked to exhibit skepticism, well, do exactly that. You will often see in the scenario there are comments made by management or executives in the company. You've got to find evidence to contradict, or you've got to find evidence to express some caution about. Please also ensure that you manage your time evenly across the questions. Remember, you've got 80 technical marks and 195 minutes. So keeping aside some time for reading, you probably need to aim to do questions in about 160 minutes against 80 technical marks. And so you know the math here. You potentially need to aim to do questions with 2 minutes for every mark. And as long as you stick to that regime, this will ensure your examination approach is solid. You are able to complete the whole exam and at the same time generate sufficient points. So good luck, keep practicing, all the very best.